Hello world, welcome to the High Paying Bastards. We are your hosts, Ian and Ari. Here we will discuss anything related to video game culture, so please take a seat and join us. Let's jump into some fucking news, god damn it. All right, so let's start off with the biggest chunk, which is just the amount of layoffs that we've been having in the video game industry in the last 29 days, basically the start of 2024. There's been a shit ton of fucking layoffs, my man.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the first one we should probably look at is the Riot Games one. Like 530 employees, about 11% of their workforce are being laid off. We're looking at their press release regarding how they're communicating. It looks like they're getting decent enough severance packages, but it's a lot of your corporate speak about, hey, it's not you, it's me, that kind of talk going on. I got to hold the accountability, but you're the one losing the job while I stay at the job, Mr. CEO, that kind of going on.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, they are getting a pretty decent severance package, it looks like. So I give Riot props for that, at least. They're taking care of their people, and it looks like they have a lot of after helping as well. So helping them get jobs and stuff. I think they're even letting them keep their laptops too.
Yeah, I think after they talk to the IT and make sure they're not carrying around any kind of company property or IPs or ideas or something like that, so that they don't become a competitor or anything. Of course, but the weird thing is what exactly is causing the Riot Games, their personal, corporate reasons that they are having to lay off a lot of people. In the news, in the press release itself, Riot Games CEO is saying a lot of the strategic areas that they wanted to go into did not pan out since 2019, right before the pandemic was heading up. And a lot of those investments are falling through, not really kind of catching any kind of tailwind that they could ride onto. And it didn't really specify what areas he was specifically talking about, but looking at what are the areas that they have decided to stop supporting, it looks like one of those areas includes League of Legends EMEA Championship in Europe, which was, as I understand it, more popular than the North American version of it. They're also trying to discontinue Riot Esports Network, which would have been a rival for Twitch, as they were trying to put some big steps into the streaming area. LEC, as I already said it, those are the areas that are getting the biggest and the deepest of the cut when it comes to the amount of people that they're firing percentage-wise. That's the department that's getting a big cut. So they're not trying to, I guess they're trying to scale back from the esports area, from broadcasting it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of it is just from pre-pandemic and right kind of when the pandemic hit, they saw a lot of growth. A lot of companies did. So I feel like they kind of just overhired and overcompensated. Like you said, a lot of their what they had panned out or were trying to get to didn't pan out. So not just Riot Games, but also Microsoft as well. Excuse me. They had some closures too. They laid off 1,900 employees, mostly from Activision Blizzard, but also Xbox, and I believe it was ZeniMax as well. They had a couple from there get cut.
Yeah, I guess Microsoft, paying about $70 or $60 billion for one of the biggest acquisition ever made in the market. Now they're trying to take the cost, what they paid back. So I guess nothing comes for free, It looks like the CEO, Mike Ibarra, right? He is also leaving the company, but I'm sure he's getting quite a bit of bonus before he leaves because he managed to be part of that big acquisition. So good for him, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting that they paid so much money for this company now. About so many of their employees are being let go at the same time as Microsoft is trying to change the trajectory of its gaming market.
Yeah. Mike Ibarra there, he's the Blizzard Activision CEO, if you didn't know. But I have seen a lot of people are actually glad that he's stepping down. So,
yeah. Do you have any kind of personal opinion of Mr. Ibarra or something?
I don't myself. I don't know the fucking guy, but I mean, a lot of people that I have read on Reddit and stuff, they didn't like his vision for Blizzard Activision. I guess he did a lot of shit that people just didn't like, straight up. So, yeah.
Hey man, it's a lonely place to be at the top, I guess. I would have had shared some sympathy, but that's the thing. Like, they completed about $68.7 billion acquisition. They're letting a lot of key people go. Usually these executives who just finished up, their major mergers and acquisition, they usually get like a really, really good bonus. Even if they don't get fired, they had basically it's like saying Microsoft paid the owners of the Activision Blizzard $68.7 billion for that property. And their CEO, Mike Ibarra, is the one who managed to get that amount of sale on that end. So he'll get a pretty good chunk of change before he leaves, I bet. He's been there for quite a while as well. So good for him, I guess, but not good for the, 8% of the Microsoft's gaming division who are about to get laid off. And I'm sure their internal memo also had, it's not you, it's me kind of speak going on. And here's some severance package. Please don't sue us or anything like that. We're going to cut a couple of these things here.
Yeah. Also, to go with that, Sledgehammer Games as well, they laid off about 30% of their staff, kind of going in with all the layoffs and stuff. I mean, it makes sense, though, too, because, the Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard acquisition there that they did, it makes sense that they're going to be laying off people, right? Because you're going to have a lot of overlap. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that Microsoft is going to lay some people off. It fucking sucks,
Yeah,
but
it definitely sucks. I mean, I don't know about you. I've been on the receiving end of that breakup letter once in a while. So it's never easy because now you have to kind of and usually you're living in a very high cost of living area when you're working for entertainment or gaming kind of company. And suddenly when you're out of job, hey, your unemployment benefit is not going to cover your rent immediately. And your severance package, it better be really, really good. And for a lot of the people in that area, they've not been with the company for long enough to have a, duration-based severance packages. Usually after you've been in with the company for a couple of years, your severance package is quite significant. But if you've just been somebody who got hired in 2019 or around pandemic or post-pandemic era, you're not going to have accumulated enough amount of years that you would be able to qualify for a sizable kind of severance packages. But it's just I don't want to keep doing depressing news after depressing news about layoff. I don't want our podcast to be just about laying off people, which is what we've been talking about. But this is the big trend. This is basically what's happening around in the gaming market, and in a very unique manner in the gaming market only too. Not only, but specifically affecting the gaming market when it comes to layoff, and people are banging their heads left and right. I mean, not literally, but trying to figure out what exactly is causing this kind of downturn in gaming market. While the recent economic reports were showing GDP growth of about 3%, which is good for a country like United States. We're getting a lot of investment in other areas. We're recovering from the inflation that we were happening. So why is it that the gaming market is suffering from kind of a lag when it comes to seeing those progress, especially considering 2023 has been such a successful and not a profitable, but very successful year for gaming itself?
Yeah, another article that I had sent you, Ari, it looks like back in 2023, there was a record of 10,500 developers, artists, testers, people in the gaming industry that were laid off. So far, the 29 days of January 2024, we've already seen 6,050. That is huge, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, so many people are sitting there going, why? What's going on? And I mean, we're seeing a lot of price raising everywhere, right? I mean, groceries are costing more, rent's costing more, gas is costing more, everything is going up. And it's also the same with video games as well. It costs more to make your AAA games, it costs more to keep these people on, all that good shit. It's unfortunate and sucks, but it's the way of the world that we live in right now.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that article you just sent. You sent me a while ago, and this is the article from the blog Matthewball VC. And I think of all the people that have been talking about this kind of video game industry and the layoffs that are happening, I think he or she or whoever it is, they've researched quite a decent amount of accumulated data and looking at it from a broader perspective, what's exactly happening in the gaming industry that's causing these kind of layoffs that are happening. And I think a lot of the conclusions that he's kind of giving here are quite interesting to see. of course, he's naming some of the more, usual suspects when it comes to what's causing the developers being fired is that, one of the things he's saying, overall, the video game revenues are not increasing as fast as other sectors of the economy, or the fact that, the cost regarding making video games, which includes paying your employees livable wage at the place where they have to be hired, like Montreal or LA or San Francisco or wherever these, video game companies get set up. Other reasons I'm looking at here from his blog that are kind of being blamed is like, a lot of the times there was like a false dawn that was happening during the COVID era, which brought a lot of people into the video game industry. But after the COVID was over, people started getting out of the gaming hobby that they were acquiring, and they were kind of moving along with their normal life to be resumed pre-pandemic. And that is also causing kind of a slump. COVID kind of delayed a lot of the video game development because of the, stay at home, the quarantine rules, and etc. So he's naming a lot of good usual suspects regarding the why is it that we're not seeing a lagging effect on the gaming industry when it comes to employees being fired.
Yeah, I think the pandemic is probably a huge offender. Like you said, it seems like a lot of companies overextended their hand and they just hired a ton of people. And now we're seeing that the repercussions of hiring so many people is, they can't keep up with it, right? So they got to cut the fat down, whatever you want to call it. It sucks. And, you hate to see these talented people get laid off. Hopefully they get picked up elsewhere. Time will tell. It's one of our phrases we love to say all the time over here. So,
yeah, but
it's true. I mean, you can't predict the future. We could go right into another pandemic, 2 months from now. And then, what happens then? People are back to being at home and having time on their hands again, playing video games and stuff. And we see another resurgence, right? So,
yeah. And by that, Ian is trying to say in a more speculative, hypothetical manner, he doesn't have any inside knowledge about what's going to happen in a couple of years, right, Ian?
Bye.
Hijack by Jack. Well, this is what I'll say, right? In the same blog that we were talking about, and I'll link this blog in our show notes and everything. So if anybody who listens to this podcast wants to check it out, it's a very good, detailed, thorough article too. It's talking about how much of a social aspect was there when it comes to how you were playing a video game during pandemic era as well. So what he's calling is called the Metcalfe Law. And let me look up what exactly his definition for that one is. Don't worry, I'm going to cut quite a bit of the section on that.
In the meantime, I'll fill up the airspace.
Go ahead and buy your Chesterfield cigarettes. So basically, like the Metcalfe Law states that the financial value or influence of telecommunication network is proportional to the square of the number of connected users of the system. So a particular game is more valuable when it's being played with more people. And it also works in reverse, is that if some of those people leave, then the effect and influence that particular game has is much more magnified as well. So usually, like, when you consume a product, like one consumer equals one additional revenue adding in. And when you lose one consumer, that's one consumer losing in a direct proportional manner. But in video games, usually the ones where you play with your friends and etc., when two users come in, it's more likely that you'll have 3 or 4 users coming and join them. But if 2 users leave, then it's more likely now that 3 and 4 users will leave because of those 2 users. So in pandemic, when you're trying to play a video game, you're like, hey, guys, you want to play the Jackbox game? Or, hey, you want to play, Among Us or Fall Guys? Everybody's in the house doing nothing, so they gather their friends. It's much more easy to bring them in. But after the pandemic is over, and one of the friends is like, I don't really want to play this video game anymore. I want to go to whatever millennials go to. It's like, go to the brewery and then get shitfest drunk or something like that. Then, they're going to start going back to the breweries, or they're going to start going back to their fancy coffee or whatever, the darting or Topgolf or whatever they do. This episode is not sponsored by Topgolf. It will never be. But what I'm saying is, like, as those people go back, to 1 or 2 people from that network get out of the video game, it drags other people with them as well, because now it's less of an incentive to stay in that network, in that game itself, right? So after the pandemic, that's the main cause. Like, people are like, no, video game is not establishing a permanent habit for me. And they're starting to move out to their regular habit that they had before the pandemic, or something new, like traveling or whatever. and it leaves the gaming market who have invested so much money when they were high in the revenue. Well, now all of those things are going to start come crashing down. It's like you're not going to need as many employees or the technologies that you've been spending on because you just don't have enough audiences, and your revenues are going to start falling.
Yeah. And, you lose people, or, your game just kind of sucks and you lose people that way. And speaking of people's games that fucking suck, we got the Day Before CEOs back at it again, my man. They're making a new mobile game, supposedly, from word on the street.
That Ian, you just wanted to move from the
it's depressing, man.
Well, all right. I mean, listen, we're not going to try to focus too much on the unemployment only because, well, technically, the news you just shared about the Day Before is a little bit employment related too, isn't it? Employment of two people. What's your opinion on it? What exactly do you think, like, on that end?
Come on. We saw how badly the Days Before got fumbled, right?
Yeah.
It fumbled so bad that within the week that it released, it was already getting pulled from Steam. People were getting refunds, right? Now you got these guys going back out there, a phone game. Like, can you be any more fucking scam artisty, right? Like,
come on, Ian, come on. I mean, these are the only developers that are actually hiring instead of firing right now. So you got to give them that credit.
Hardly, dude. Hardly. They said one of the reasons why the Day Before failed was because of all the negativity that they got.
I don't want to take their side again and again. I've shared my opinion about I've shared my opinion about it, like what I think happened with these people. But hey, these people gotta eat too. They're not gonna go and become a plumber, are they now, Ian? They're not gonna go become a house contractor. They know game development, or at least they think they do.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they should try those other things.
Oh man, what if they turn out like in the HGTV, like Property Brothers or something, and they're just like developing like houses instead? Maybe they should give their hand on it. But I'll say this, like I want to keep in touch with the mobile gaming news and etc. But I'll probably not play this game. But maybe
come on, Ari, give them a chance.
Maybe I will if they don't scam the money out of my teeth with the mobile microtransaction or something. But they're in a kind of, it's not like you can exile these people from gaming industry. That's not something you can do. It's like shame them so much that they stop making video games, go live in like a secluded house somewhere in Russia or something like that. They can't do that. They gotta make job. They gotta make money or something like that.
Yeah, but it's shame them so they understand what they did wrong, so they can correct themselves and actually release a product and one that works.
Well, that's what they're doing. Maybe they're doing exactly what their skill level is for, Instead of a giant MMORPG, go for a mobile game.
Don't shoot for the stars, aim a little bit lower.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, Ian, good luck to them. I mean, hopefully they will be able to climb out of it. What they did for raising expectation, of course, that's not very good. And then managing to deliver such a atrocious kind of end result. I
heard that they said that they're going to make a game better than Candy Crush.
That is impossible. That is the best game that has ever been made. That is the highest grossing. If money talks, that game shouts. That's what I'll tell you.
Right.
If my neighbor, I'll say this, if my 70-year-old neighbor knows your game's name, just like me in third world country knowing Michael Jordan, okay, that game should not be underestimated, and it'll stay at the top for a long, long time, for good or for worse.
Yeah, I guess. Well, let's move on from that clown show right there. And we got some Walmart news. They're getting ready to get rid of physical games within the coming week or two, starting, I guess, with Xbox games.
Yeah. And my apologies on that end for you, man. My condolences. I don't know if you were still buying your physical game from a Walmart, like in a bin or something, but oh man, that gotta hurt for you, don't it?
I've shed a few tears, to say the least.
Yeah, I would, one of my favorite part, like going to Walmart, is going to that giant bin of DVDs and like video games that they just pile everything in. and dig for gold. Like that is like $2 for a game. Well, here from this one, right? Quoting this article from comicbook.com, an internal memo has surfaced online stating all copies will be reduced to 3 cents and sales will be blocked by the store system and then removed from the store. So they are going to try to get rid of as much as they can before they have to throw this all out.
Yeah, so if you live by a Walmart, check out the dumpsters in the coming week or two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like I'll probably end up doing it nonetheless. I mean, have you seen my shirt that I'm wearing right now? I have 5 of these shirts. This is a brewery shirt. Oh no, I am one of those millennials who go to brewery. No, fuck.
Where you spend your time at.
Oh no. Breweries are like Hooters for millennials. If people don't know, that's where you go get shit-faced and just harass the waitresses there.
So supposedly it's starting with Xbox, but we will see, I guess, Sony and Nintendo as well losing physical copies there.
Here's an interesting part about that one, right? It looks like this is being done and even funded a little bit by Microsoft too. Like usually, like, you know, a company would be absolutely angry if Walmart decides to completely throw away all of their product from the shelf or something like that. But because Microsoft is already gearing up for the next, you know, era of how they want to sell or develop or publish games as they're moving more towards the online, they're actually kind of funding the move for Walmart as well into this decision. So this is being done in conduct with Microsoft when it comes to like in this wholesale and everything else.
Yeah, it also goes back to part of the layoffs that Microsoft did of 1,900 people. They closed down, I don't know if I put that on our notes or whatever, but they closed down their physical gaming division, whatever that means. So that kind of is a big tell right there. I've also seen a lot of rumors talking about Microsoft is wanting to go all digital for their next console, which isn't really surprising because that's kind of what they tried to do with the Xbox One, but then got a lot of pushback and stuff. Yeah. So then we still got physical copies.
So you're saying they're not going to have the slot for the CDs? It's just going to be a giant box, right?
Yeah. I mean, they already, you know, you have the X and you have the S. The S is a downgraded version, but it is an all digital one. So they're already kind of doing it.
Yeah. It's, well, that's, you know, kind of a swan song then, right? I mean, like that era of just being able to plug in your game and etc. I think one of the things, like, and this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but the new design for the Series S, that the full like digital version or even the gaming consoles, I don't really like it. It's just a giant fucking box, to be really honest. The older designs I thought were like much better, like up to like 360 even all the way to the Xbox One. I thought it had this one like, you know, slick kind of good, like, you know, design and etc. But the new one, it just looks like a giant fucking box. Looks like an oversized Amazon Alexa on steroid. It just doesn't look good to me from design-wise.
So that one's the X. That one's actually the disc version one. The S is the smaller one with like a brick, more or less.
Yeah, I can literally build a house by putting them between the cement.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. So what else do we got here? We got some more news from Insider Gaming on Pokemon. Pokemon is doing some investigation on the hot new game Palworld. So Ari, did you see that game when it came out, Ari?
I saw after it blew up every corner of the internet. Like it's getting a huge amount of plays and etc.
Huge, man. The cojones on these motherfuckers. I mean, I think they had 2 million active users on Steam at one point. I mean, it quickly rose up there to at least the top 5 most popular games on Steam. At least. It's wild.
It's beating Elden Ring, right? When it comes to like daily plays.
Oh yeah. Like people have gone nuts for this game. And if you don't know, it's a survival type game. So like you got to mine for resources and stuff like that. And you have these little pals, or they look very similar to Pokemon, which is what this article is talking about. A lot of people have sent in emails to the Pokemon company saying, "Hey, it looks like they're kind of stealing your assets and stuff," because they are very similar. But you basically survive with these pals. You get on a server with like 32 different people. Or if you remember the old Minecraft public servers, it's very similar to that. So it's I don't know. I mean, honestly, I kind of want to get it. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, here's in the article, right? A lot of the inquiries are being made by people, probably who play Pokemon and were probably not happy to see what's happening in the game. And a lot of the inquiries are reaching the Nintendo. But it's not Nintendo themselves that are directly naming Palworld as a copyright infringement yet. They're probably going to start doing that pretty soon, though. It looks like it. Because of the concerns from people about Palworld using assets from the Pokemon for its game, the company will say it will investigate the game and its developer for any potential IP infringement. Now, I don't know what kind of parody law that Japan has, but in the United States, that would have been completely legal to do like a parody of Pokemon, right? Like, or a parody of like, what's that comedian? Nathan Fielder or something, who made dumb Starbucks to compete with the local Starbucks. This is saying like, you're allowed to do that because it's a parody, even though like this lawsuit or whatever, this is not lawsuit, but like, even though this investigation will come up, I think hopefully they have enough legal leeway for themselves to kind of maneuver around that they will be able to stick around. And because a lot of people seem to be enjoying it, they'll be around for people to play it rather than being, taken off from the platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it continues with the success that it has seen. I think what they're mainly concerned, though, is the assets, is that they use the direct assets from Pokemon. So it's not something that they made themselves, but they literally just took Pokemon assets and just reskinned them, basically. I think that's kind of what the big issue is.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's a hot new game. A lot of people are playing it. And let me ask you this question on this one.
Yeah.
So you said you might want to check it out, right? Like all this, I mean, you've been checking it out on streaming sites, I bet, like, streamers playing it as well.
Yeah.
Like, what about this game concept that is attracting you?
It's the survival aspect, like the building and stuff, and just the general surviving, collecting, the pals or whatever the fuck, and then using them to battle other ones and shit, I mean, it's like that game Pacific Drive. It's coming out next month, at the end of the month. It's a PS5 exclusive game. It's another survival type game where you basically drive around in your car in like the Pacific Northwest or whatever, while there's like some sort of event horizon crazy shit going on, and you have to like survive and repair your car and shit like that. So it's just one of those kind of games where it looks interesting like that. So
I don't know, like I was checking it out as well, watching people play it, and something about it just made me exact opposite of being attracted to this game. This game is definitely not for me at all. The Palworld, not the Pacific Northwest. That one sounds pretty cool. But Palworld, it's kind of hard for me to explain it, but for me, there is nothing attractive about this game. Because, like, first of all, the premise of the Palworld, the Pokemon with guns, is the oldest Pokemon joke ever. Hey, Pokemon is just dog fighting, right? It's just violent. But that's the oldest joke. And Palworld, it has the crafting section, survival section. Its asset for open world looks like somebody copied Breath of the Wild, but decided to take off that, beautiful ethereal kind of effect that it has and just dump it right there. Like, to me, Palworld is just the most cynical game that I've ever seen.
So I have a question for you, Ari. Have you seen the new Pokemon game that came out?
I know. Like, I don't play Pokemon either. But, like, Palworld is not just, like, not copying, but, like, Palworld is not just making a statement about Pokemon. It's making a statement about so many other games, too. It has the crafting section, Minecraft and etc. Go ahead.
I mean, like, have you seen the state of the game?
Yeah, but... Yes, I have. But at least, like, I can say, there's not a lot of cynicism itself in Pokemon game. Like, a lot of people who, like, the reason they are complaining about Pokemon is because we've been playing Pokemon since we were 10 years old. The new Pokemon games are more suited for kids who are going to be playing this for like their first or second or third time. Like, a Pokemon has always been a game for like, your 10 to 15-year-old kids, usually. And the reason we get to be cynical about Pokemon is because we've been playing it since like, half our life now.
But the problem is, though, is that the way the state that the game is releasing it, like assets not loading, a lot of like missing textures, shit like that, they're not on their game, right? Yeah. Palworld has released, and it's like It's very smooth. It runs good. There's good draw distance. You can see a lot. Pokemon's missing all that.
But that's because Palworld is not really doing anything innovative with his asset. It's really like, it's taking some of the most popular concepts of video games that are out there, like crafting from Minecraft, or, your open world kind of survival that is very popular. Pokemon itself, a very popular type of game. A genre is itself a Pokemon sometimes. It's taking a lot of the popular thing and it's saying, you know what? People love this kind of game. I'm just going to put them all together in one single game. I'm not going to focus on something specific. I'm not going to try to develop something unique. I'm not trying to put, as a developer of Palworld, like something unique into a game. I'm literally just going to put whatever is popular and smash them together into this Frankenstein of a game. And then hopefully people will like it. And of course, people liked it. And I'm not going to judge people for it. But to me, that always indicates somebody just saying, oh, I can just get the most popular thing, put them together and turn it into the most popular game right now. And that person is being proven completely correct on that end. And that is what for me kind of pisses off about Palworld is that it is a cynical look at video games themselves. It's not focusing on something that the developer wants to tell a story with, or a certain kind of gameplay that they want other people to experience, like that joy of making a game because you want other people to have something fun that you thought was unique to your idea and putting them out in a game. It's literally like, a lack of a better word, a major derivative of everything that is popular out there right now, from using your creatures to use the using your creatures to kind of build up your mining and etc., enslaving your creatures or whatever you want to call it, the crafting, all of these things and that are being done in other games in so much better way, because those games focus on those specifically. But Palworld has decided to kind of just take, I'm just going to take a 80% of that or 70% of that and put them in the game. Yeah, of course, it's not going to have a lot of bugs because it's not providing you the best value of that feature. It's just providing you an average value of that feature, but it's providing all of the popular things in gaming industry right now and putting an average version of it. You look at one single aspect of the game itself. Do you see somebody who has put in thought and care into that game? You look at the Pokemon or Pals, basically, they're just literally carbon copy of Pokemon. You see just a little bit, changed here and there. You look at the shooting aspect of it. It's basically Fortnite shooting. You look at the crafting aspect. It's basically Minecraft's crafting. Even when it tries to chop off the wood, it's making the same sound. It's making the same interaction. If you really just focus on one section, you'll see it's an average version of the good thing that are out there. And I don't know if I'm kind of explaining it properly. It's such a cynical way of looking at video games that, people will just pay whatever money we ask them to pay if we just give them whatever is popular right now. And a lot of video game companies are going to look at this and they're going to say, EA is going to take a look at it and this actually works. I'm going to do exactly the same thing with other bigger games. I'm going to take, instead of these smaller games, I'm going to take the popular games and take their popular aspect and jam it together into my next EA game. And I'm going to make sure Ian pays for that EA game full price.
So I'll say this because I want to go back to talking about, Nintendo and Pokemon, right? It's a big company, Game Freak, right? A lot of people working on it and shit. Did you know that this project started out with 4 people on Palworld?
No, I did not. No, it is a small one, yeah.
4 people, which grew to 40 people, and that's it. 40 people working on this game versus an entire company like Game Freak.
That, I don't know why you keep comparing to Pokemon. I don't play Pokemon either, but it does not.
Because that's the closest thing you can compare it to, right? Because you got the pals, which is the primary focus is collecting pals, and then the survivability, which, like you said, is in a lot of different games. The Forest, it's a survival game, and it's exactly like that. Minecraft too. Yep. It like you said, it does take all those concepts, sure. But when you look at the dev team and how many people there were, it's pretty impressive for the amount of people that they had working on it.
Yeah, listen, success when it comes, I can't criticize it, right? But when I'm kind of playing a game, I'm not going to think about, how many developers did this game have when I'm playing it? That is not on my foremost of the mind. It's impressive that it's only 4 people. Now I'm not surprised because
40,
of course,
40
now, but because it's going to keep on growing. If it gets bigger and bigger, it's going to probably hire even more people probably if it has something substantial to kind of later on, bank itself on. but it's just what it's telling me about video game industry and how this developing team is looking at it. That's kind of very depressing for me to look at. It's just such a cynical way of looking at video games in general. It's just like saying, I'll just take whatever is popular, put them together, and that's what people will want. And in a way, they've been proven right as well. And I will say this, like, like the game, like it looks like it's going to be fun for a couple of hours, but then it has a steep drop off and like, not many people kind of wanting to play. Some games even benefit from this kind of a feedback where like a game gets slightly popular, streamers pick it up, and then it gets more popular and even more streamers pick it up. And sometimes some games can really benefit from it as well. But it doesn't really like tell me that when I'm playing this game or when I'm looking at this game, because honestly, I've not played it, that this game was made by somebody who gives a shit about video games in general. It's made by people who kind of know the formula of the game industry and then be able to put them together. And the most benevolent thing I can say about it is that they took a risk. It's a smaller team that are developing something that is being played by a lot of people, and that alone is very impressive. But the message I'm getting from this game is but like kind of depressing in such a cynical manner. Like, I don't want to be a cynical person. I don't want to think like that's what video games are. It's just give me a dopamine hit once in a while, and that's all the video game needs to be. For me, like I've always told you, like for me, video games are so much more than like, it's about, people putting a lot of their passion in their stories and etc. So for someone like me, it's looking at this being successful. It's not that depressing, but like, it's kind of like, uncomfortable is the weird thing I want to say. But I know what you mean, like, comparing with the Pokemon and everything else. But I just don't like the message of the game, to be really honest. That's probably why I'm probably not going to play it. It's definitely not for me, but I'm glad to see that a lot of people play it and a lot of people will enjoy it,
Yeah, I mean, people are going to want to play what people are going to want to play. If you enjoy something, you enjoy something. You shouldn't hate on people that do want to enjoy it and stuff. That's my big thing. I mean, even people that want to play Scarlet, Pokemon Scarlet and stuff like that. Like I don't hate on the people that want to play that and enjoy that. My thing is your game work? Does it work? What kind of state are you releasing it in? Payday 3, that game did not fucking work. Cyberpunk, when it first came out, did not fucking work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are huge studios and stuff like that. Pokemon Scarlet and stuff. There's a lot of broken shit from what I've seen in those games.
Absolutely agreed.
Palworld works.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing, right? Like the games you mentioned, they're trying to do something unique, so they will have like hurdles that they will meet. I don't want to make an excuse for them. Okay? Yeah, but like I don't want to like your criticism is absolutely valid. Like that's what turned me off from Cyberpunk. That's so much that I didn't want to play the new DLCs and etc. It like it really did turn me off on that end. But I can at least say like they tried something completely different and new. And even if the game was not very good, you could tell there were some aspects there that you could tell is like people, like some people give a shit about that game try to make that game, even though they completely failed, even in Payday 3 as well, which is apparently, according to the news, is losing a lot of players. It doesn't have a lot of like live players over there right now, right?
There's like 300 people still playing it, I think.
For an online game? Oh, yeah.
Big fucking yikes, especially how good Payday 2 was. Like, that's not fucking great.
Do you think Payday 2 has more players right now than Payday 3?
Yeah, more than likely.
Probably right. Yeah.
I don't have the Steam page pulled up, but I would not doubt that. Let's move on, though. We got some Twitch stuff. They made some changes to streamer payouts, it looks like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Ari, you go ahead and take this one.
Sure, yeah. It looks like the Twitch Partner Plus program is creating new revenue scheme for its streamers. It's not something that I know very closely about because I've never really streamed and I've never gotten paid for streaming on any kind of platform except for a local strip club or something. But what I'm trying to say is... so basically the original was that you'd have like the 70-30 revenue split between the big streamers, and then you'd have 50-50 split with the smaller streamers who are part of that partner program. So what Twitch is doing is that it's gonna first of all expand, like relax the rules for the 70-30. So it won't have like a stringent rule regarding it. It's going to have a lot more people be able to continue to maintain that 70-30 revenue split, the subscription split between the big streamers and the Twitch themselves, it's also creating a new tier for 60-40 split so that more people can qualify for it. And then it's also trying to take away any kind of like revenue cap that it had. So initially, they used to have like, if you're a streamer who's making $100,000, then you'll go from 70-30 split to 50-50 again. So they're taking off that cap. So more of the streamer can maintain that 70-30 cap, even if they're like, split, even if they're growing much bigger and making more revenue. And there are a lot of changes for the affiliate partners and et cetera. So in general, it looks like the Twitch Partner Plus program is trying to give more share of the revenue to the streamers rather than keeping it for themselves. Now, we were talking about Twitch last few episodes as well, and they're losing money hands and down. So why is the reason that they're doing this kind of generosity? Why they're trying to be so cordial with the streamers? It's because they're getting a lot of competitors, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got Kick, you got YouTube Gaming. Those are, I think, the only two I can think of off the top of my head.
Exactly. There are not a lot, but like there are some major competitors coming out. So they want to make sure that they keep these big streamers with them as much as they can. Although, it's not always true that if a streamer moves from one platform to the other, that he or she can take all of their followers with them. It's not always true. You can ask Ninja about that. The guy is successful, kudos to him, but he did lose quite a bit of viewers when he had to go exclusive into another platform. But Twitch is also relaxing the ability to stream in multiple platforms as well. So it's kind of trying to be a little bit more welcoming to big streamers, keep them around, and also allow smaller streamers to have more revenue share opportunities as they climb up into that ivory tower, or what they want to call it, I guess. Ian, you and I are so far from that part of the world. Like we ain't got to worry yet, right?
Yeah, it's never gonna happen for me, honestly.
I'm not gonna let you put yourself down like that, man. I think you have, in my opinion, the best streaming voice I've ever heard in this podcast.
But yeah, okay, yeah, sure. In this one, at least. Did you talk about the $100,000 cap too that they had?
I did. So yeah, they're eliminating the $100,000 cap that they had.
Yeah. On the 70-30. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. While you were talking about all that stuff, I was looking up the player base for Payday 2 and Payday 3. Payday 3 has 353 people playing right now. Payday 2 has 26,000 people playing right now.
That's not those numbers. That's a statement. That's a statement right there. That's telling that your game sucks. Let's just go back to that old one.
Again.
Come on, man. This is I'm not and would you say people who made Payday 3 don't give a shit about that game though? No, right? I mean, they tried it, they failed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they tried and it just, they changed too much. That's the problem. You know what I mean? When you have these sequels and stuff like that, a lot of your player base, and a lot of the people that played Payday 3, they wanted to see the same shit that Payday 2 had. They changed just too much of it, which is unfortunate. That's what happened. So,
yeah, we should call our podcast Off Tangent the way we move from subject to subject, don't we? But yeah, I think those are pretty good review for the big news that came out. A lot of layoffs, a few things about the Palworld. A lot of people are playing that one. We talked about a couple of things about the Twitch, about Microsoft, Apple and stuff. Well, we didn't talk about the Apple one, but yeah, the last one is just basically App Store now having to relinquish some of the control because of their antitrust investigation in Europe. App Store will now allow streaming apps on their platform. So like, GeForce Now or something like that. So they're this is the same, continuation of that Epic and Google fight a little bit. This is more of a spin-off, to be honest, than the continuation. But yeah, see, nobody can stay a monopoly for too long. People come when you're the king. People come for your throne.
Well, it's like you said. We're seeing this in real time. I think you said that last episode was. This is something we're witnessing in real time, and this is just the evolution of it. You know what I mean? It's one step closer to relinquishing that monopoly stranglehold that they have.
Yeah. So this is the article by The Verge. Developers can now submit a single app with capability to stream all of the games offered in their catalog. Now, of course, streaming a game implies monetary transactions, microtransactions, advertisements, and etc. Now, app stores will see, if they're allowing it, will they have to modify the rules of how it's being operated? But it's a lot more of a still business to business interaction, we're still not going to see a little bit of a trickle down on what the consumers are going to affect on it. But the most direct effect is that there are more options for consumers on that end.
Yeah, because before you had if you wanted to play a game from Epic, you would have to download the whole game, right? Now you can just download the Epic launcher and you can play the games right from the launcher and stuff. You don't have to download the individual games and stuff. So, I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah, Fortnite's coming back to iOS. That's another news, right? Good for them. My God, Ian, some of these games, when I look at it, man, it makes me think how old I've gotten. Like, I can literally look at a game and I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. This is not for me. Give me my payday too.
Danny Glover getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, man, that movie is amazing. The fact that somebody tried to bomb him in his toilet is crazy.
Yeah, I love those Lethal Weapon movies, man. They're fucking great.
They're great Christmas movies, in my opinion.
No, that would be Die Hard. Die Hard.
No. Hey, no. No. Like, Die Hard is a movie that happens during Christmas. Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie.
Say what you want. It's a Christmas movie to me.
We're gonna have to fight this offline, okay? Before we do that, but I think we've covered our news, haven't we, Ian?
Yeah. I think that wraps it up there.
Yeah. So we can now move on to our game of the week.
Yay! Game review.
Are you drinking right now, Ian?
I wish. No, I was so busy today. I didn't. But by the time I got done finishing everything, I didn't even have time to make a drink. So I'm just drinking some water.
It's because we were trying to focus on the OBS shit, right?
I mean, yeah, that too. But
All right. What's your go-to drink?
Gin and tonic right now.
Really?
I mean, water. Yeah, water is what I'm drinking right now. But yeah.
Are you like a 18th century colonialist, like British colonialist trying to invade India, that you only drink gin and tonic?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it tastes delicious, man. It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's light and easy.
I know you drink gin and tonic because you said that before. I've been thinking about that joke since like a couple of weeks now. God damn, that didn't land.
Nah, you missed that one.
All right, Sir Ian, let's go ahead and move on to our game of the week. I know you played The Last of Us 2 Remastered for PS5. You paid $10 for that remaster, and, well, tell me about it.
Yeah, so I already had The Last of Us 2. So, like you said, I bought the remaster, the upgrade. It was $10. I mainly did it for the no return mode. I have already beaten the main story of Last of Us 2. Gameplay is phenomenal. It's solid. It is one of the top third-person shooters out there. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it is very solid. The gunplay is very good. It's tight. The more you upgrade your weapons, you actually feel them get better. You feel the stability being better, the recoil, all that stuff. So it's a very good and tight game. My biggest gripe with it is how floaty the characters felt. So like you would jump and like you would like kind of float around like you were playing Uncharted almost, like the one from the PS3 era.
Do you feel like there's a difference on how smooth the gameplay is compared to the single player story mode versus the roguelike?
It's about the same. I mean, it doesn't change any of the assets. Of course, it uses like literally the same foundation, same building blocks and stuff. The only thing it does is just randomize everything for you. Yeah.
So by floaty, then are you saying like there's kind of a little bit of a lag to your reaction?
Sort of, like you like the way you dodge and stuff, like it does not feel tight like the gunplay does. Your character just feels floaty, and once you start playing it, you would understand. Like I said, like you jump and you can kind of move around when you jump and stuff, and it's just I don't remember the character feeling that floaty when I initially played it. I could be completely wrong. It's been forever since I played it, but no, the gunplay though is very tight, where the character feels very floaty. So it's kind of a contrast there.
The roguelike aspect is, of course, all offline part of the game, right? It's not like you have to be online for it or anything.
No. The only thing online is if you want to do like the leaderboard stuff. So what they do is they have a daily run that you can do, which it's the same for everybody. It's a randomized run, but everybody runs the same randomized run.
Before kind of going to that one, then Like, do you think the reason it feels a little bit floaty is, do you think that helps with making it easier to play a roguelike portion of the game compared to your single player? Because like a roguelike, you're trying to make sure that people don't just die so easily when they're trying to play so that they can continue playing for a longer hours. Like that'd be an incentive for a roguelike game. Like it has to be by mechanics slightly easier than how you play your regular game. That floaty aspect, do you think that hinders your overall gameplay, or do you think that like makes it easier for you to play? From like aiming, from melee timing, those kind of perspective.
Well, like I said, it's mainly when you jump that you feel it, that you feel floaty. Like your character on the ground is fairly responsive, like in the movements as like actual kind of fluid movements. It's literally only when you jump that you feel floaty. Like I said, everything else is very tight. The gunplay is very tight. It gets better, like I said, as you upgrade your weapons and stuff. Your recoil isn't as bad. The melee aspect is just as good as the primary game. Literally everything is the same from the no return mode to the single player story mode. It's just that you have random instances that you go through.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not really that big of a deal. So it's just like that one single, like the button prompt that's kind of for some reason is a little bit different from the single player campaign.
Well, it might be exactly the same. Like I said, I didn't play the main story part at all since I've gotten the remaster upgrade. I literally just focused on the no return mode.
Yeah. Do you think the porting, like, I don't know, so you haven't played the single player campaign on the remastered version. Do you think when they ported up to PS5, I would have asked, like, if you had played, it's like if the PS5 port had any kind of issues translating from the PS4 itself, or any kind of issues that you saw while playing it?
I mean, it felt largely the same. It was just a matter of remembering the controls. They do some really unusual kind of controls, like to reload your guns, for instance. You pull the trigger that you would normally fire, except you do it while you're not aiming, and that's how you reload. So it's just trying to remember those kinds of things.
Okay.
But it's a good game. The storyline, I don't care for it that much, but again, the gameplay is very solid. Naughty Dog did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, they did such a fantastic job. They kept on doing it again and again. And
next we'll get The Last of Us Part 1 remaster, remake, redo, including Dante from Devil May Cry,
Yeah, but okay, so how does the roguelike gameplay get set up from single player perspective? I'm saying, like, is it like, is there any story aspect to it, or is it just you straight in go in and then you start playing it?
It's more or less you straight go in. I mean, you load up, you pick what character you want to use. There's about a dozen different characters from each faction respectively. So you have Ellie's kind of faction side, and then you have Abby's kind of faction side. So you got about 6 characters each or so. And basically, they have challenges to unlock the other characters. You only get Ellie and Abby to start with. You got to go through a couple encounters or whatever to unlock your next character. You play as that character a couple times to unlock your next character, so on and so forth, right?
So in this game, who are you going through?
I mean, again, you can choose either faction. So you can choose like...
Sorry, like, so who are the enemies you're killing, basically?
So it's from enemies that are in the game. You have the Rattlers, which is just basically a miscellaneous group of just ragtag assholes that you run into. You have Abby's side, I believe, the wolf people or whatever. Then you have the Sephirites, who is like, they use kind of bows, and they're a cult or whatever. And then you have the Infected that obviously it's the Infected. So
as you play the game, you get to unlock not just the Abby and Ellie's side, but like the cult, you get to unlock a lot of the people from that different faction as well. Do you ever get to play as the Infected?
No, you don't. Mostly, so the way the unlocks go is you unlock bosses. So once you clear a run, you unlock another boss. You clear that run, you unlock another boss. And I think there's like 5 or 6 different bosses. One of them's the main Rattler guy or whatever, or main Rattler leader. Another one is Sephirite elites or whatever. So they have like the big 2-handed weapon that they come and just punch your fucking face in. And then a couple of them are the Infected bosses that you fight in the main story.
How long does it take to get to the boss? Is it very long gameplay, or like on average, like how much would you say like it takes to get to the boss level?
The levels move through fairly quickly. Really, it kind of just depends on how quickly you go through it. The one that it kind of forces you to go quickly through is Hunted. That one is a timed event encounter, which basically you're being hunted and you just have to survive for X amount of minutes, right? All of the other ones is you're basically just killing the enemies and moving through the level and stuff. And you can kind of take your time with it. So on average, I'd say like probably like anywhere from 20 minutes if you run through really quickly to maybe like 30, 40. Also, depending on what kind of difficulty you play on, you know? I mostly played on just the regular moderate difficulty or whatever. And I was probably averaging like 30 minutes a run or so.
Yeah. Because one of the reason I wanted to ask is like, do you think the level, like until you reach the boss, is it long enough for you to enjoy what I would assume is called like the build in a roguelike game, right? Like in a roguelike game, you start out with something and then you keep on adding like weapons or kind of a special ability or whatever, something you acquired during that particular run. I'm trying to wonder is like if the gameplay is long enough for you to really enjoy that part of the roguelike game, or if it even has it or not.
So your run is your overall run. Then you have your encounters that you go through. After each encounter, you go back to your kind of like main hub, and that lets you upgrade your character. It lets you buy weapons or buy, schematics so you can make bombs and stuff. Lets you upgrade your weapons, stuff like that. You have a board that you look at that kind of lets you choose your next encounter. There's a couple of branching paths, and like it's nice because you can look at all the different encounters straight up and just see what each encounter is and what it entails. So it tells you like who you're fighting, what style is the encounter. Is it a hunted one? Is it an assault one? Is it a capture one? Is it a holdout? So it kind of tells you all that stuff, and it lists kind of like what kind of perks you can get, because there's 2 times where you get 2 extra perks depending on the encounter and stuff that you do. So my biggest gripe is like you can't change your loadout. Every character has their own standard loadout. You can't change it. I kind of don't like that. And also, like, you don't unlock anything to boost your character up when you start a brand new run. Whenever you start a new run, your character is just a base flat, like 0% or whatever, right? And as you progress through your run and you do your encounters, that's you building your character up. But once you beat your boss, you start back at 0.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then why have multiple character models to play with? Like, what's the difference between choosing Ellie versus Abby? Do they come with like a special kind of, perks or anything?
Yes. So Ellie I think she's more of a stealth character. So she starts out more stealthily, has a handgun. I think she can make Molotovs starting off, stuff like that. Abby is
very stealthy. Molotovs.
Yeah. Well, Abby is like a melee character, right? She starts out with skills that enhance her melee attacks and stuff, and like her proficiency with weapons and shit like that. So each character has a different, like I said, starting equipment and stuff. Joel has a specialized revolver. Tommy, his brother, he's the only motherfucker that gets a sniper rifle. So it's
that's kind of an unfair advantage. Does he get infinite bullets, or does he get and he has to go find bullets?
He doesn't have the snake bandana, so you have to find bullets.
Okay. I don't know what reference that one was.
Metal Gear Solid.
Okay. I need to play that game when the remaster comes out.
Yeah, when you beat the game, you get you unlock the bandana, which gives you unlimited ammo. Yeah, it's a good game. Try it out. Highly recommend it. But yeah.
So you're saying like, when you choose a particular character, they have certain kind of perk that allows you to play in a certain manner depending upon, who you choose, right? So if you choose Abby, you're definitely going to go for melee kind of attack because it incentivizes you to do so.
More or less.
Ellie will kind of allow you to do the more sneak kind of stuff, but although like a Molotov cocktail is not really a sneaky weapon in a sense, I think
things get loud.
Yeah, and you mentioned there was a character who uses bow and arrow. That sounds more like a stealth kind of character, to be honest, than the other one.
You can make explosive arrows.
Yeah.
So go get yourself that.
Get an arrow, put up a Molotov cocktail on the tip of the arrow, and just shoot that instead.
Let that motherfucker go, dude.
Do you have a particular one that you prefer to play with most of the time?
So I liked playing as Joel a lot. I actually was able to complete my first run as Joel, and he's like the last character you unlock on Abby or Ellie's faction. Okay. So Abby was really fun to play too. The melee aspect, just because as soon as anyone gets close to you, you just butcher them in the face with a fucking wrench or whatever the fuck. So I mean, each character is unique and offers a different play style.
But your go-to is Joel.
Yeah, Joel, I like playing a lot. I mainly was just focusing on unlocking all the costumes, because like once you unlock the character, the only thing you can unlock for him is just costumes by doing certain challenges and stuff. So
any microtransaction on that end?
No microtransactions. So
you've already paid $10 for it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get every single fucking worth it, right?
Well, technically I paid $60 for it, but yeah, the $10 upgrade was
yeah. So one of the things I was looking at a couple of the gameplay videos, there was like one section where the entire environment was like red room photography. So are you able to like mod this game too? Like, basically what they were talking about, like there might be a possibility of like, changing certain aspect of your level play. So like, I'm kind of babbling like an idiot.
Yeah, I got you. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. So
help me here, Ian.
In your encounters, you have mods that take effect, right? So one of the ones that you probably saw was the camera mod, where the camera filter mod, where it changes everything to like a fucking red hue. That shit's obnoxious. I hate that shit when it happens. But you have positive and negative mods that can happen. So like you can get things that like headshots slow down time, or enemies take more damage, or enemies have more health, or enemies are faster, or when you vault, you can move faster. So there's different mods, or you can have some that don't have any mods to it. And it's all random if you choose the standard mode. You can do a custom run, and you can turn mods on and off like as you play. You can actually also, which is interesting enough, you can actually get old school cheats for the game. So when you beat the game, you get points that you can buy and unlock, like unlimited ammo, infinite health, stuff like that. You can actually turn those on as well when you play.
That's very similar to the game but I played On Guard, where like when you have like an arena mode, which is like the roguelike aspect of it, where like if you turn on certain kind of mode for like certain kind of survival play, like when you kill an enemy, they would drop bombs, and it just like it'll be a bomb every single time an enemy is dead, and it's like bomb everywhere. It's like everything is kind of exploding all the time.
Yep, that's a mod that you can get too, and it's fucking obnoxious, dude. It sucks. There's nothing like killing an enemy and not moving away quick enough before it explodes and takes you out and fucks your run.
Yeah, I guess I can see some people who enjoy that particular mod if they're like, long distance killer kind of thing, like sniper rifle Tommy or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, so like how long until then you'll be like, okay, I've done enough of this gameplay.
Oh, I've already hit that.
Down. Oh, you've already?
I've already hit that.
How many hours did you play?
15, I think.
15?
Yeah, just the no return mode. I think it was like 15 hours is what I put in or something like that. Look, I'm not going to lie. Like, it is fun. Again, it's using The Last of Us 2's gameplay and gunplay, which is very good. It's very solid. It's so good that they remastered the first one to model the gunplay and gameplay that 2 was, right?
Yeah.
So for $10, it's worth picking up if you have the game. If you're going to purchase The Last of Us 2 remastered and pay $70 just to play the no return mode, it is not worth it. So unless you're going to play the story and enjoy the game to its fullest, you know what I mean? Like $10 upgrade. If you liked playing The Last of Us 2, you liked how it felt, you liked the gunplay and stuff like that, the no return mode, it offers some fun stuff to play with. I think that there's not a lot of incentive there for you to keep playing. Like I said, once you unlock the characters, you're just unlocking skins for them, So that I've already unlocked all the skins for Ellie's side, so I just have to work on Abby's side. And it's kind of like, whatever at this point. I've unlocked all the bosses, So it's like I've seen everything that the no return mode has to offer now, more or less.
Yeah, it sounds like there's not really much left for you to kind of wanting to keep exploring on that game then.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to do some fun gunplay and stuff and just play a couple rounds real quick, yeah, sure, pop that up, whatever. It's good. We're good to go. I got my enjoyment out of it for $10. I think it's worth it. I've spent way more on shit that was way worse. So
yeah. All right. So then give it a rating. What is our rating system? Do we have a rating system?
Our unofficial rating system of, is it this or that, or is it 100 out of fucking a million? Just the no return mode. If I were to give it like a 1 out of 10, I'd give it a solid 7.5, I'd say, just because like it is fun, it is engaging, but there's just not a lot of meat to it. And like I said, one of the biggest gripes I had is that you don't necessarily unlock much for your character to really use once you complete a run. You unlock things as you progress, but not when you complete a run. A lot of the good roguelike games like Enter the Gungeon and stuff like that, you unlock stuff for your character once you beat it, Yeah.
Like usually for a lot of, in my opinion, what I would consider like a successful roguelike game, even though it's not really for me, I think one of the aspects it has is that as you continue like surviving through it, you discover more part of the stories. Like it actually impacts your story a little bit sometimes too. But, this is not what exactly it was designed for. This is just for like, enjoying the pure gameplay aspect of it. Last of Us, world renowned for the story that it has. I don't think this part of the game is going to offer anything. But if you've already enjoyed your gameplay, this is basically like giving you almost an infinitum around of like, same kind of gameplay mode to kind of play. And it looks very exciting. It's getting pretty good reception from a lot of other people as well. So it looks like it's definitely worth the $10, which is quite small price to get this particular section in there.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like $10, it's worth it if you already have the game, right? It's nice to be able to fire up the no return mode and, like I said, be able to play with the gunplay, play like the game without having to really deal with the story. You know what I mean? I don't have to sit here and watch long ass cut screens and shit like that. I can just hop into an encounter, fuck up some people, or get my ass chewed up by an infected, whatever. It's fun to fuck around with, for sure.
That's good to know, man. It's good that you enjoyed the game. I'm not going to talk about the game I played. I don't think it's necessary. No, I'm not going to talk about it. Maybe next time.
Okay. What did you play, Ari?
Define play. What exactly play means?
Yeah. What did you watch, Ari?
I'll talk about it next time. How about that?
Yeah.
Let me mull it over. Let me think about it. Like, I just took a big drag of a cigarette on this game. Now I just want that nicotine to kind of settle in my body for a while, and then I'll talk about it in the next gameplay. Because I thought I didn't hate it, but I'll talk about it next time. How that sound?
Right, that's fine with me, man. I mean, we got to have something to talk about next week because Helldivers 2 doesn't come out until February 8th, so...
Hey, there are plenty of other better games coming out than Helldivers anyway.
Fucking, what are you talking about? No way, dude.
I thought we were going to play Tekken 8.
Yeah, okay. Because I play fighting games, yeah, for sure.
Well, roguelike is technically a fighting game. Tekken used to have a survival mode similar to, it was like one of the oldest part of Tekken, like a long time, but Tekken 3. It had a survival mode kind of game back in the day. That was one of my favorite one to play. It's like unlike, your usual fighting, it would be like a side scroller that you can choose any character you want to play. But I don't know, but you see, off tangent. Again, we're hyping off tangent bastards now.
Yeah.
Right. But I think, that overall concludes our gameplay. And I think that's all on our end. Anything else for you to add?
No, man. I think I'm good. I mean, like I said, I'm looking for Helldivers, so...
Yeah,
I'm looking for that.
Exactly. I think the game season is finally kind of like kicking up a gear starting February and March. A couple of big games coming out that I'm excited about. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be awesome when those come out and we'll be able to play. Until then, well, Ian, thank you for joining, man. As always, it's always good to talk to you about the games, even though they're quite depressing sometimes, the news that comes out. But it is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Hey, man, I enjoy it, and only up from here, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, you don't know that.
Until we crash.
Yeah. You remember the video game crash of 1980s. We can go much lower than that,
Yeah.
But that's for the future and not for us to worry about. But yeah, thanks again for joining. Thank you for listening to us. If you'd like to reach out to us, it's at hypingbasterds@gmail.com. And also we have a YouTube channel as well if you want to go out and listen, put something on your computer, second monitor while you're doing some work or whatever, go to at Hyping Bastards in the YouTube to find our podcast there as well. So thank you again. Bye-bye.
Later.